Karibu tena mtazamaji, na shukran kwa kuendelea kusalia nami nikiendelea kukujuza na ibuka na kugonga vichwa vya habari. Na yanayojiri sasa hivi ni kwamba mkutano miongoni ama baina ya viongozi na wabunge wa ODM na mrengo wa Kenya Kwanza unaendelea sasa hivi katika eneo la Karen, na Rais William Ruto anahutubia mkutano huo. Tuvuke mubashara na tusikilize yanayojiri.
We are going to change the sugar sector. We are going to change the coffee sector. You have already seen what is going on in coffee. There is still a little bit of pushback, but we will deal with it. And on and on and on, and we can transform our whole agricultural sector. Just the little interventions that we have done standing together. You people in Parliament making sure that we are subsidizing production. And I must commend, Parliament has always provided money for us to support the production of the country, either through fertilizer or seeds or other interventions when we have brought it to Parliament. So you're part of the making of the history of our nation. Just imagine we have reduced the imports of maize, for example, by 70%. Reduce the imports of sugar by 70%. And we can make that progress if we are focused on where we want to go. And that is the reason why we have to make the decisions that we have made work. It is the reason why Baba and I have appointed Agnes Zani and her team, so that what brought us together, we don't forget. The 10-point agenda that we have signed buttresses what is actually in our manifestos. The NADCO report, we all know what it is supposed to achieve. And if we stand together, we can achieve all the legislation that is recommended by the NADCO report. Parliament has what it takes, to do this. For Kenya, we can do it. And I want to persuade this PG to work with us and for all of us to be committed to this exercise. Protecting devolution. There is need for us as a nation to distinguish between governance and devolution. The governor is not devolution. The governor is a person. Devolution is about the people. It is not about the governor. And we can deal with the governor without disrupting devolution, if there is need to. But what is sacrosanct, what is constitutional, is that we must get local people, development, to be at a local level as much as is practically possible. I agree with the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, because I was in Parliament when NGCDF was passed. And the principle was right, because there wasn't any meaningful resources getting to the grassroots. And the big push for devolution in the constitution-making process was 3 principles: making sure that resources get to the grassroots, making sure that there is representation at the grassroots, and making sure that accountability is also at the grassroots. So we need a conversation. There are legitimate concerns on how resources are being spent at the counties. There is. We cannot also run away. There is legitimate concern. Let me ask, for example, the latest Sokohuru in the Senate. Because you have to accept, by virtue of the position I hold today, I am a consumer of raw intelligence. I know what's going on. Where does somebody find 150 million? Where? Huh? Is that his money? That is money that belongs to the county. Is that correct or not correct? Yes. Let me ask you, members of parliament who are seated here. Do you, for example, know, do you, for example, know that a few members of your committee collected 10 million shillings so that you could pass that law on anti-money laundering? Did you get the money? No. So, going forward, si tunataka tukubaliane, si we are one team. Yes, there are people who are destroying the credibility of parliament. And they are collecting money in the name of parliament. And some of the time, or most of the time, that money never gets to parliament, it gets to a few people. We are not going to shame them. We are going to arrest them. Yes. Do we agree? Do we agree? Yes, whoever is giving and whoever is being given and whoever is doing whatever it is, we sort them out. Because the reality, friends, the reality is that there is a problem. And we all know here, tukitaka tukusema ukweli, there is a problem. And unless we sort it out, we are going to destroy our nation. We are going to destroy this nation unless we sort it out. And we must be as candid to ourselves here as we are candid in implementing what is transformational for Kenya. Tunaelewana? Now, let me say this. We must make sure that we get resources to the grassroots, but we also must make sure that the resources that get to the grassroots is used for the people, not other ways. And so we must do for the national government as well. In our 10-point agenda, we have discussed about the young people of our nation and how we need to protect their livelihoods. I want to ask the leadership seated here today, members, I want to persuade you. We have a robust program. We have, I think, close to 8 or 9 different programs targeting our young people and how we can meaningfully engage them in employment and other interventions that benefit the young people of our nation. I will say this. We spend close to 650 billion shillings every year in education, making sure that our young people go through primary school, ECD, primary school, junior school, secondary school, TVETs, and universities. We must equally have clarity in how these 650 billion shillings we spend every year, at the end of the day, how do we recover that money by making sure that our young people become a resource for the development of our nation instead of being a problem to our nation. We must do that. And there are 6, 7 interventions that have gone through Parliament. Housing is one of them. Export of labor is another one. Digital jobs, and every member of Parliament here, especially of the National Assembly, you have resources to do ICT hubs. I remember discussing with Sirma there, chairman of NGCDF. I remember discussing with Kiarie, the chairman of ICT. And if there are any issues that concern, sometimes maybe we have a problem with resources, Mbadi is here. He knows that if there are resources that needs to be made available, it's for us to provide interventions for young people to get an opportunity to work. You know very well that we can create hundreds of thousands of jobs in the digital space. You are aware of what we are doing in Nyota. You are aware of what we are doing in KJet. And if you don't, we should be able to explain to you so that you become part of the people, because you speak to hundreds of thousands of people every weekend, every day, as you go about your responsibilities, how they can tap into these opportunities and create livelihoods for the young people of our country so that they too can make a contribution towards making Kenya what we all want it to be. And I can continue, on all the other aspects that we have worked on. We agreed that we must have a conversation on national debt because it has the potential to threaten our development. It is the reason why my good friend Mbadi and I have been in many different places, and we have done the most that we could to contain the issue of debt. We have gone out of our way to look for alternative sources of funding so that we don't always go to borrow. We have gone the route of securitization. We've gone the route of private-public partnerships. You know very well that we will be starting the construction of the road all the way to Mau Summit from here, Ironi. We are not going to be spending any debt money from government. The road is going to be built on private-public partnership. You know very well that we are going to begin the railway going all the way from Naivasha to Kisumu all the way to Malaba. We are not going to be spending money from debt like we did with the first section of the railway. We are going to be using public-private partnership to do that road. And many others that we have, we are thinking outside the box so that we can craft alternative mechanisms of delivering on public infrastructure or public goods without necessarily endangering the country with national debt. So we are working at it. It is part of the recommendation of the 10-point agenda that we must deal with. And we are seized with that matter. We will be giving, Mbadi and company will be giving a report to Zani's committee on what practical steps are we making to respond to the issues in the 10-point agenda. What are we doing about the young people? We will be able to tell Zani and the PG, and the PG should be there to monitor what we are doing so that we not only do it for us, but we also do it for the people that we represent. And finally, because I do not want to belabor the point, I said we have a historic opportunity. It is not always that protagonists come together to look at the greater interests of the country. But God has given us this opportunity. And I must commend Baba here, because very few leaders have the courage and the mettle to withstand criticism and stand for the nation. Very few people. Very few people. Many people look for what is convenient, what is popular, even if it is wrong, and they want to pander to it. But when a nation's destiny is at stake, you need statesmen, you need people who have the courage to put Kenya first and everything else secondary. So, what am I saying in conclusion? I am saying Zani and team have a job to do. They will be briefing Right Honorable Raila Odinga and myself on what needs to be done. We will be able then to guide what will be happening, what the executive need to do, what the legislature, the role the legislature need to play, and the role others may need to play. And as we do that, we will need another opportunity to be granular. Today was the first occasion for us to deal with this. But down the road, we need to bring the members of the executive, at least the ministers, to come so that we can have a meeting of minds between the executive and the legislature on matters that are of national importance. Further down the road, we may need that engagement. Maybe not in a sitting like this. Maybe we can organize a retreat for 2 or 3 days so that the questions I see members of parliament asking on some of the programs, we can fully understand the import of the programs we are running, what they are meant to achieve, the transformation that is supposed to happen, and how we position ourselves to make sure that we provide the push necessary for that transformation to happen. Again, focusing on the greater picture, the bigger picture of our nation. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you very much for coming for this session. I know we will listen to you by way of feedback on some of the things that you want us to respond to. We are here because we are one team and we want to succeed together. And we want to make sure that none of us is left behind. Are we together? So, mimi nimesema asante sana. If there are any questions directed to me, I will be willing and ready to answer. If there are some directed to any one of us here, we will be able to answer.
Na mtazamaji, ni mkutano ambao unajumuisha viongozi wa bunge kutoka upande wa chama cha ODM na ule upande wa Kenya Kwanza ambao umeongozwa na Rais William Ruto na kinara wa ODM Raila Odinga katika eneo la Karen, na kama alivyotaja rais katika hotuba yake ni kuashiria kwamba kutakuwa na kikundi ama kikosi ambacho kinaongozwa na Agnes Zani ambacho kitakuwa kinaleta uwiano katika pande hizo mbili katika kuwafikia malengo yao kama serikali, ikiwemo kule kuweza kutekelezwa kwa ile ripoti ya NADCO, ikiwemo masuala mengine ya kupigana na ufisadi hususan katika maeneo ya magatuzi na pia kuondoa ufisadi katika makao ya bunge. Ni baadhi tu ya masuala ambayo rais ameyazungumzia kama malengo ambayo yanalengwa kuafikiwa na kuwepo kwa pamoja kwa pande hizo mbili, na ndio baadhi ya masuala ambayo walikuwa wanayazungumza katika mkutano huo. Tutakuwa tunakuletea kina cha taarifa hiyo kwenye taarifa zetu za hapo baadaye. Kwa sasa naingia pumzikoni na kusihi usiende mbali.
Mo Fix Mo.